If you're a woman over 50 and you've noticed more hair in your brush, more hair in the shower drain, or a widening part line, stick around because I'm about to break down 4 nuts that could actually help support hair regrowth, and 4 nuts or nut habits that could quietly be making your hair fall out faster. This isn't about some expensive shampoo or a $200 supplement. This is about what's sitting in your pantry right now. After menopause, your body goes through massive hormonal shifts, estrogen drops, and that affects everything from your skin to your scalp. Combine that with age-related nutrient deficiencies, and you've got the perfect storm for thinning hair. But here's the thing a lot of people don't realize, that certain nuts are loaded with the exact nutrients your hair follicles need to stay in the growth phase. And other nuts, they can trigger inflammation, mess with your mineral balance, or introduce toxins that do the opposite. Let's get into it. Somewhere in the world right now, a woman is standing in front of her bathroom mirror, running her fingers through her hair, and finding more of it in her hand than she expected. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't tell her husband, her sister, her best friend. She just quietly starts wearing her hair up more often, angling the part a little differently, hoping no one notices what she's already noticed. This is happening in millions of homes to millions of women over 50, and almost none of them know that the answer might be sitting in a bag on their kitchen shelf, ignored, overlooked, ordinary. A walnut. A single walnut split open doesn't look like medicine. It looks like a snack. But inside that wrinkled shell is something extraordinary, a fat your body cannot make on its own, an omega-3 fatty acid called ALA. And it travels through your bloodstream straight to the tiny, fragile blood vessels wrapped around every single hair follicle on your scalp. Those vessels are the lifeline. When they stiffen, when they narrow, when circulation slows, and it does slow dramatically, after menopause, the follicle starves. It doesn't die right away. It just gives up a little more each month. Fewer nutrients in, slower growth out. And most women never connect the dots because no one ever told them that a fat could be the difference between a thickening part line and one that keeps closing in. Now picture something smaller, almost invisible, a trace mineral called copper hiding inside that same walnut, quietly running an enzyme in your body called tyrosinase. This one enzyme is responsible for producing melanin, the pigment that keeps your hair from turning gray before its time. Copper deficiency has been directly linked in published research to hair that thins and pales years before it should. Nobody warns you about this. Nobody tells a 50-year-old woman sitting in the salon chair that the gray taking over her roots and the strands vanishing from her crown might share the exact same root cause, a mineral she stopped eating enough of the moment her diet got healthier and more restricted. Then there is a nut so powerful, so concentrated, that just 2 of them a day can transform your thyroid function. And just 20 of them a day can start working against you. The Brazil nut. It holds more selenium, gram for gram, than almost any food on earth. Selenium fuels your thyroid. And your thyroid is the master switch of your metabolism, including the metabolic rate of every hair follicle on your head. Slow the thyroid down, even slightly, even in ways standard blood work misses, and hair growth slows with it. Diffuse, silent, across the whole scalp, not just one spot. This is one of the most underdiagnosed causes of hair thinning in women over 50. And doctors rarely think to check it because nobody is trained to look at a handful of nuts and see a hormone therapy hiding in plain sight. Vitamin E is next, and it is fighting a war you cannot see. Every single day, oxidative stress attacks the cells around your hair follicles. Free radicals generated by stress, by pollution, by the simple act of aging, tearing away at the follicle's ability to function. Vitamin E is one of the body's frontline antioxidant defenses, and almonds are one of the richest sources of it in the entire plant kingdom. In small clinical trials, people dealing with hair thinning who supplemented with vitamin E saw measurable increases in hair count after several months. Let that sink in. Not a promise, not a miracle, but a measurable, documented shift from a nutrient sitting in a bag of almonds at the grocery store, walked past every single day by women desperately searching for an answer in a pharmacy aisle instead. And finally, zinc, the mineral, almost nobody thinks about until it's gone. Pecans are loaded with it, and zinc is directly involved in tissue growth and repair at the follicular level. It regulates the oil glands that keep your scalp healthy. It supports keratin, the literal protein your hair is built from. 90% of every strand on your head. Low zinc has been tied in clinical research to a condition called telogen effluvium, sudden diffuse shedding, exactly the kind of hair loss that spikes during the hormonal chaos of menopause. Doctors see it constantly. Patients rarely hear the word zinc mentioned in that appointment. Here is what should terrify you and also what should give you hope. In the very same breath, the nutrients capable of protecting your hair follicles from collapse, omega-3 seconds, copper, selenium, vitamin E, zinc, are not locked behind a prescription. They are not hidden in an expensive serum with a name you can't pronounce. They are sitting right now in nuts that cost a few dollars. In nuts most people eat mindlessly, absent-mindedly, without any idea of the biological war being fought and won or lost inside every follicle on their head. The tragedy is not that the answer is complicated. The tragedy is that it's simple and almost nobody is being told. There is a woman right now who did everything right. She read the article, she heard the podcast, she learned that Brazil nuts were a miracle food for hair, for thyroid, for hormones. And so she did what so many of us do when we find something good. She overdid it. Not 2 nuts a day like the research actually supports, but a handful every morning, sometimes 2 handfuls, convinced that more had to mean better. Months later, her hair was falling out faster than before she ever started. Her nails had turned brittle and were splitting at the edges. And she had no idea why, because the very food she trusted to save her hair was the one quietly poisoning her. This is the story nobody tells you. Selenium in the wrong dose doesn't heal it, accumulates. It builds in the body until it crosses a threshold into toxicity, a condition doctors call selenosis. And one of its defining documented symptoms is hair loss. The most dangerous nut on this entire list isn't dangerous because it's bad. It's dangerous because it's good in a dose so narrow that a single extra handful a day can flip it from medicine to toxin. And that's only the beginning of what's hiding in your pantry. Nuts are fragile in a way almost nobody realizes. They are packed with polyunsaturated fats, the same fats that make them so nutritious, but those fats are unstable. They react with oxygen the moment a shell is cracked or a bag is opened, and they begin to degrade. This is called rancidity, and it doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's just a faint bitterness you chew right past without noticing. But inside your body, that rancid fat is generating free radicals, unstable molecules that attack healthy cells. And scientists studying hair loss have pointed to oxidative stress at the follicle as one of the key mechanisms behind premature thinning. Every stale nut you've ever eaten without a second thought may have been quietly accelerating a process you didn't even know was happening beneath your scalp. The nuts sitting open on your counter for weeks, exposed to heat and light and air, they are not the same food they were the day you bought them. They are aging, oxidizing, turning against you in silence. Then there is a danger far more sinister than staleness mold. Peanuts, technically not even a tree nut, but a legume grown in the ground, are uniquely vulnerable to a fungal toxin called aflatoxin, one of the most potent natural carcinogens ever studied. And it thrives in peanuts that have been stored improperly or exposed to humidity. Your liver is the organ tasked with filtering this toxin out of your body. The same liver responsible for clearing excess hormones, for regulating the estrogen and cortisol swings, already wreaking havoc during menopause. Every time that liver is forced to fight off a toxin, instead of doing its hormonal housekeeping, something has to give. And for many women, what gives first is hair, bitter, musty, slightly off. Those are the warning signs of an aflatoxin contaminated peanut. And most people eat right through them without a second thought, because who questions a peanut? But perhaps the most dangerous nuts of all aren't even sold as nuts anymore. They're sold as a product. Walk down any grocery aisle and you'll find them. Honey roasted, salted, glazed, dusted in sugar, cooked in soybean oil or canola oil at high heat until the very structure of the fat has been altered. These seed oils are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. And while your body does need some omega-6, the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 inches, the modern diet, has become dangerously lopsided. And that imbalance has been linked in research to chronic, low-grade, whole-body inflammation. Inflammation doesn't stay contained. It reaches the scalp. It attacks the follicle. Over time, it can trigger a process called follicular miniaturization, where the follicle physically shrinks with every cycle until it produces nothing but a fine, colorless wisp, and eventually nothing at all. The very same nut that could have protected your hair, once it's deep fried in seed oil and coated in sugar, becomes a delivery vehicle for the exact inflammation that destroys it. This is the part that should stop you cold. Every single nut on this list of dangers, the Brazil nut, the stale walnut, the moldy peanut, the honey roasted almond, is also, in its proper form, one of the most protective foods for your hair that exists on this planet. The difference between healing and harming isn't the nut, it's the dose, it's the freshness, it's the label you never bothered to read. Somewhere between the health food aisle and your own pantry, a food built to protect you can quietly become the very thing working against you. And almost no one is paying attention to the difference until the hair in the drain tells them it's already too late to ignore it. Somewhere tonight, a woman will close her laptop after watching another video that promised her the answer. Eat this nut. Avoid that oil. Follow these 5 steps and your hair will come back. And for a moment, she'll feel hope, real hope, because finally someone gave her something she could control. But here is the truth. Almost no one is willing to say out loud on camera. Food can support your hair. Food cannot always save it. And the women who spend years chasing the perfect diet while the real cause goes undiagnosed underneath them are losing something far more valuable than hair. They're losing time. Consider this. Hair loss in women over 50 is rarely caused by one single thing. It is almost never that simple. It is a convergence, hormones shifting, nutrients depleting, organs quietly slowing down, all happening at once in the same body during the same decade of life. And yet most people treat it like a single variable problem. They find one villain, a bad oil, a missing vitamin, and they declare war on it, convinced that fixing that one thing will fix everything. Meanwhile, the actual cause, the one hiding in their blood work, goes untested, undiagnosed, and untreated for years. Take the thyroid. This gland, smaller than a walnut itself, sitting quietly at the base of your throat, controls the metabolic rate of nearly every cell in your body, including the cells responsible for growing your hair. Hypothyroidism and underactive thyroid becomes dramatically more common in women during and after menopause, and one of its textbook symptoms is diffuse hair thinning across the entire scalp. But here's what should genuinely alarm you. Standard thyroid panels ordered in routine checkups often test only one marker, TSH, and TSH can look normal even when deeper thyroid dysfunction is already underway. Countless women have been told their thyroid is fine based on an incomplete test, while their hair continues to fall month after month because nobody looked deeper. Then there's iron, ferritin, specifically your body's stored iron reserve. Studies have repeatedly found that women with hair thinning often have significantly lower ferritin levels than women with healthy hair, even when they are not clinically anemic by standard blood test cutoffs. Your hair follicles are some of the most metabolically active cells in your entire body, dividing and growing faster than almost any other tissue. And that kind of rapid cell division demands iron. When iron stores run low, the body makes a ruthless, efficient decision. It protects vital organs first, and hair production is one of the very first non-essential processes to be sacrificed. Nobody warns you about this in a wellness article about superfoods. It takes an actual blood draw, an actual doctor, an actual number on a lab report to catch it. And vitamin D, not just the sunshine vitamin, but a hormone precursor involved directly in the hair follicle cycle. Research has linked low vitamin D levels to alopecia and to slower regrowth after hair shedding events. And yet, vitamin D deficiency is staggeringly common, especially in women over 50 who spend more time indoors, wear sunscreen diligently, and whose skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight as they age. It is one of the most undertested, undertreated deficiencies in modern medicine, hiding in plain sight behind fatigue, mood changes, and yes, hair that won't stop thinning no matter what she eats. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Diet-focused solutions feel empowering because they put control back in your hands. You choose the nut, you choose the meal, you choose to feel like you're doing something. But that same feeling of control can become a trap, a comfortable distraction that delays the one thing that could actually identify the real cause. A simple panel of blood work, thyroid function, ferritin, vitamin D, 3 tests, 15 minutes at a lab. And yet, how many women spend 2, 3, 5 years experimenting with diets, supplements, and shampoos before ever asking their doctor for these specific numbers? This is not a call to abandon good nutrition. The nutrients in walnuts, Brazil nuts, almonds, and pecans genuinely matter and genuinely support the biological systems your hair depends on. But nutrition is the support structure, not the diagnosis. It's the foundation you build on once you actually know what you're dealing with. A woman with an undiagnosed thyroid condition can eat a perfect diet for years and still watch her hair thin because the root cause was never nutritional to begin with. And that is a story that never gets told in a 5-minute video about superfoods, because get your blood work checked doesn't sound as exciting as eat this one nut, but it might be the single most important sentence in this entire video. If you take nothing else away from this, take this. Don't let a diet distract you from a diagnosis. Ask your doctor, specifically by name, for a full thyroid panel, a ferritin test, and a vitamin D test. Not just check my hormones. Those 3 words, spoken clearly in an appointment, could be the difference between years of frustration and finally understanding exactly what's happening inside your own body and finally being able to do something about it that actually works.